We're live. Prestige worldwide. Wide.
Okay.
All right. Insane. I don't understand why.
All right, let me take the volume off. All right, Teague. Sorry, you're on. Go ahead, man. Well, fallen state. That was the question.
Oh yeah, I was asking you, did y'all check out the new episode of The Fallen State?
I saw it. I don't know if Richard saw
I
it.
did not see it. Is that the one with the Black Lives Matter dude?
Yeah. It was.
Oh
Like,
gosh, it was just golden.
man.
I mean,
Yeah.
this
You
dude.
tell me what you think about it. T.
Oh man, that guy, he personifies this effeminate attitude that's sweeping the land. It's so full of lies and deception, and excuses and false victimhood. I mean, everything that he said, he couldn't answer one question. When Jesse said, how important is it to have a father in the family? Well, that depends on the system and all. I mean, what system? I'm still trying to figure out what system that they're talking about that's racist.
Dude,
Systematic racism.
I
Where's
noticed.
the system at?
I counted like
Like,
200 times. The guy would say again. Like he'd start everything he'd say, be like again. And then he'd continue to say what he said, but he would deflect every single question, like you said. Like that's part of the what opened my eyes with Jesse is that he asks very simple questions and that people can't answer them directly because it's either yes or no. But he like and along with other people, always have to have this intellectual explanation to justify why they can't say yes or no. They're just like, well, it's complicated,
Exactly.
and then they never answer anything.
political speak. I don't know if y'all ever heard of Eric Michael Dyson.
Yeah, isn't
Yeah.
he another black intellectual?
He's not intellectual at all. He's like Black Dr. Seuss or something. I mean, the way he talks. I don't know. Do y'all remember In Living Colors back in the 90s?
Oh, I
y'all
love
know
In
y'all
Living
younger
Colors.
than me, but
I love
it was,
that.
it was a show, In Living Colors. Okay, so Damon Wayans played a character, and the character was Oswald Bates. And Oswald Bates was an inmate in prison, and the way he talked, he used all these big words, but he never made sense.
Furthermore,
He was like, I will solidify the colostomy into
Oh,
the
I do remember that guy.
degradation of the liquefaction of our nation. Now, he says stupid stuff like that. That's just how Eric Michael Dyson talked. I mean,
dude.
he did an interview.
Oh, I saw that
with
interview that you were
Candace
talking about. I know what you're talking about. And then at the end, Jesse said, "You just said a whole truckload of words with no meaning."
Yeah, they
No,
just
that's
talk
not
and
the
talk.
guy. That's not the guy, but he talks like him. That guy you're talking about talks just like Eric Michael
Oh
Dyson.
man, it's so bad.
I mean,
And,
they use all these words
and people
making
fall
completely
for
no
it.
sense.
People fall for it. They it's like word spells. They hear these big words and they go, "Oh, well, this guy must know what he's talking about. I must submit to whatever he says."
Yeah, if you speak with a word salad, you're full of crap.
Yeah, like now I can see
Yeah.
so clearly now that it's simple. It's yes or no. It's right or wrong. It's good or evil. And when you don't have anger and you have forgiven and you don't question yourself, and so when other people question your intentions, it doesn't affect you anymore. Like it used to affect me where people would judge me or think something of me, and then I would get uneasy about myself and be like, well, maybe they're right. Maybe I am like this, and I'd go nuts. But now that I'm like totally secure in knowing where my heart is, I can see. I think it took me looking and seeing the evil within myself and what was wrong for me to understand it. And now that I understand what's in myself, I can see it in other people, and it's so crazy, man. Do you notice that? With
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, it's. I mean, I was the same way to a point because being raised up around a bunch of people who everything was white people's the problem. So I was always hearing, you don't join the military because that's the white man's army, and
That's right.
it's not a place for the black man. I mean, I was raised up hearing that. You do this, the white man gonna do this, do that, or whatever. But I never really saw that. I never saw it. I never had an example of what they said. I actually saw the opposite. And so when your eyes are open, it gives you that ability to think for yourself. You don't
Right.
have to go with groupthink and what Auntie said and what
It's
Uncle
not-
said. You can go off of what
You don't
your
form
reality
you
is.
don't form a decision based off of your influences of like what party you were with or like what celebrities you like, because people subconsciously do that now, like, and especially now it's like I'm in entertainment, as you know, and I got all these, so-called friends in the music industry of, musicians and stuff like that. And from the outside looking in, because like I realize, 90% of the people that I thought were my friend weren't my friend. But looking at the way they post and the way they are and what they talk about, it's almost like they just want to appease the community, and they don't want to be an outsider, and they want to just fit in. It's like the kid in school who just wants to fit in, so he's going to do what everyone else does. And I see how many people, especially in the entertainment, do that. It's crazy. They can't just be themselves.
How Jonathan Isaac, he's that basketball player with the Orlando Magic, when all the black slaves were on their knees worshiping black people with the Black Lives Matter shirt on the black line on the black basketball court.
He stood up, right?
And Jonathan Isaac stood up, and he didn't kneel. And the reporter, "Oh, so do you support Black Lives? Why didn't you say Black Lives Matter?" or whatever he said. He said, "I don't believe that wearing a shirt that says Black Lives Matter and taking the knee does anything for Black lives."
I saw that interview.
That real peace comes from surrendering to Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I did see that.
And so on and so forth. And the lady asked another idiotic question. So you don't think Black Lives Matter? She's talking to a black man.
She tried to manipulate it, and you could tell that she was angry at his response.
Just a guilt trip.
So she tried to shame and guilt trip him, but then his response was perfect, because he's like, everything is covered if you and a lot of people who aren't religious or anti-religion and stuff like that, because I don't even look at myself like I'm quote religious, like a lot of religious people think, oh, you just accept the Lord and Jesus as your savior and then you're good to go. Yeah. And I don't think that
Lamentations,
that's not right either, but seeking within yourself and knowing that it's in ourselves, it's in us to be able to, if we can deal with all that stuff first, everything else is taken care of, and we're not dealing with the semantics of words. It's like at the end of the day, racism is a synonym for evil that's going to make you, it's evil, and it distracts you. You call it racism, and now we're focused on each other's skin color when you're just like, oh, look at that guy did some evil crap.
It's like they try it with every group, but for some reason, racism and what they call sexism seems to work the best. Like they try it with fat people. Oh, they're fat shaming you, but you're not gonna see a group of fat people out there tearing up the city because they'll be too tired to do it anyway.
Yeah, they won't make it one block.
So they ain't gonna make it a block. Well, they'll make it over there to the Shipley's Donuts, but other than that, that's it. That's the end of the ride.
We're meeting at Dunkin's, and we're just gonna hang out there, and then we'll all go home.
It's gonna be handed off by Stacey Abrams.
Isn't it ironic? I noticed that it's a very liberal leftist thing. Okay to shame anybody for anything, right? But they will shame you.
Yeah.
For whatever works for them, they'll shame you.
You're a freaking Nazi, bro. You're a fascist. You're a freaking Nazi.
Right.
Exactly.
So it's like it's such a catch-22. It's like either it's okay, you can't shame anybody about anything, or it's going to be, oh, you can only shame on our terms. Like they'll shame you for being religious and being like, oh, you shouldn't be this way.
You shame white
people. That's
why
it's like you're either free or you're not.
But the thing that's funny is shame actually works.
Oh, it works. That's why they hate it.
It works though.
Yeah, just like you're supposed to shame sluts.
When applied correctly.
Hey, don't shame me.
Yeah, when applied correctly, that's what we do need. Christians should be, tolerance is not a Christian virtue. And tolerating people's bad behavior in public and not saying anything is why this mess got out of hand. We used to shame those people out of the neighborhood, so they never come back and they never feel comfortable, and they don't bring that nonsense here.
Just like that interview on the Fallen State with that guy that Jesse would ask him questions something about teachers. I remember he was saying something about when students act up in school, and do you think that it has a direct for how you're raised, if you have a mother and a father in the home, that's going to affect how you are? And he's like, well, it depends. And he just couldn't say. It's like, well, you had a mother and a father, and you grew up to be all right. You didn't misbehave. Do you think that had anything to do with it? And he's like, well, it depends.
The reason why he could not admit that is because if he admitted to any of those truths that Jesse laid out, then he would have to submit Yeah, we have to admit the idea that white people are the problem is not true.
Right?
And so, in order for him to keep that idea going and that narrative going, he had to deny every bit of truth that Jesse was throwing at him. That's why he
Exactly.
couldn't even answer a yes or no question. You know,
He was
human
playing
being
dumb.
alive.
Like, do you think? I mean, he can't just be ignorant, right? You don't, because to me it looks like he's intentionally trying to deflect because he knows he's full of shit.
Yeah.
They
That's
know.
exactly what he was doing. He knows what the truth is, but he would rather go with the lie because it fits who he is. It fits his idea. You know he was a very effeminate man. I wouldn't be surprised if he was gay.
Just like his mama.
Most of them are, man. Most of them are. Like, you can't live with that spirit for very long before it turns you into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that hateful spirit that he had, blaming everyone for. I'm still trying to figure out the system he's talking about. He never even specified what part of the system. What system? Systematic racism. What part? Tell me what part is racist. What part of it? I mean, because I haven't read a law that said black people can't go in the store. Oh, that was Jim Crow. That happened a long time ago. So we're not there anymore. So
Right.
where's the law at? Where's the system that's set up to destroy black people?
It's so weird because I get it and I don't get it at the same time, because I understand that we are a product of our influences, right? And if we're born into a family, especially just a single mother, right, and we're fed, we think when we're kids that our parents can't do wrong, they're God or whatever. We don't know what perfection is and what right and wrong is. Our parents is what kind of shapes it. So if you grow up being taught that, because I mean, I've seen a lot of people, like, they'll be like, they'll train a kid from a young age to be like, now, as a black child, you have to be prepared for this and that. And so it shapes the lens that they look through throughout their whole life. So I do understand why. But at the same time, it's like, all right, at what point are you going to start to see that's like, oh, wait a second,
Yep. Man, let me ask y'all something. Did y'all see the interview with Joe Biden when he went off on a reporter for asking him did he take the cognitive test?
Joe Biden? Oh, I didn't see that.
Are you
but I
talking
heard
about
it
the
was-
one where where everyone's going in on him
He
because
looked all
said,
bug-eyed, like
he
was
says,
out of it?
unlike black people. Is it that one?
No, and he was asking the dude because the guy said Donald Trump bragged about taking the cognitive test. We want to know, did you take the cognitive test, so on and so forth? And he was like, why do you want to ask me if I took a test? No, I didn't take a test. He's like, if I asked you, you take a drug test? Are you on cocaine? What are you?
Oh
a
yeah,
junkie?
I did see that. That's hilarious.
You dog-faced
And
pony
then he
soldier.
just started rambling though. He was like, if Trump don't know the difference between an elephant and a lion, then I don't know what he's talking about. I mean, I was gonna tell a joke, but no, I can't say that. No, nah. I mean, he just tapered off into some sort of ramble. Like whoever is around him, they know there's something wrong with this dude.
Isn't it crazy though that everything that they've accused Trump of being, Biden is?
Yeah. He grabs women.
And that's
he
their guy.
Sniffs children.
That's their
He's a
guy.
weirdo. He's a
he
creep.
says racist things, even though it's like, what I don't like too is like a lot of the conservatives I follow on Instagram, like they'll do anything they can to like get a win on the Trump, Republican side, and so they'll even call Biden racist, and I get that they're doing what's been done to them, but that's the fault too, is that it just keeps it going. Is like it's like I wouldn't call Biden racist, I would just call him an idiot, like.
I don't think Joe Biden's a racist. I think he's very honest, though. You know how when somebody's old, they just say things they really mean and they don't care?
Like Jesse.
Exactly.
Like what he said about black people. He was telling the truth. He said most black people think along the same lines. If you look at the Democratic Party, 90% of black people vote Democratic.
And that's the point I'm making, is that the conservatives jumped on that bandwagon and started saying stuff like, oh, he's a racist, how dare him say that. And I'm like, dude, you're the same person that's said the same thing. Like, they say the same thing, but then when Biden says it, it's like, so it's like, that's why the cheat code is the anger and all that stuff. It's like, doesn't matter what party you're on, even though if you are on the left, chances are you're in a fallen state. Much deeper.
I mean, speaking of the right, I don't know if you've seen how many governors have been backing, Republican governors, backing things like reparations or giving felons the right to vote, like en masse because they want these numbers. It just doesn't add up. All that spells trouble for a Republican vote, and like Trevor says, like, I mean, I'll vote Republican because it's, Democrats are just nuts, but I don't trust those guys either, because just because they say they're conservative, they say they're Christian, doesn't mean a damn thing. You know, most of them are just fakes. It's just like these fake Christians at Bible Thump. A lot of these Republican conservatives don't stand by their values. They live in the world, and they're of it, and they think that they're this person, but they don't actually stand by it. They just want to get ahead.
Just like, it's like I say, when someone says, are you a Christian? It's like, you know, your thought pops in your head, like, well, they're going to think I'm this kind of Christian that everyone else is. And it's like, that's why I said I don't even see myself as religious. It's like, what's his name said? Actually, that black dude that you were talking about in the interview, he said the same type of thing, that I have a relationship with God. It's not a religion, you know? I don't read a book and follow the rules. I know that the rules are in my heart.
Well, the Bible calls that type as a hypocrite, because Jesus said, you're like a whited sepulcher full of dead men's bones. You know, you're pretty on the outside, but you're dead on the inside.
Yep.
I mean, you have whole churches like that are full of garbage. You know, to me, like here in San Antonio, like my father's a pastor. Okay, our church has been open. You're not required to wear a mask in that church. You can go in there and sit shoulder to shoulder if you want to. Nobody died from COVID in that church. Nobody got sick and passed it on. Everybody's fine. But there's another church that I was attending. And, man, they're making you take your temperature when you walk in. And you got to wear a mask and use hand sanitizer. But here's my thing.
That happened to us
preaching
in
about
Laguna.
Jesus who laid his hands on lepers. And we're talking about how much he's the great healer and all this. But now you're afraid of a disease you can't even see. So now COVID is greater than your God.
Exactly.
You know?
This pandemic has exposed just how many people, Christians, nuts, everyone alike, how many people live with fear and don't have any real faith. Like, it's the majority of people. Like, there are very few people who have real faith in this world and fear nothing but God.
Like, there's no avoiding believing in something. Like, even people that they say, oh, I don't believe in, I don't have a belief. That's a belief, you know? Like,
Yep.
So at the end of the day, it's just like you're going to be influenced by right or wrong, good or evil, no matter what. Because every decision or every outcome you have, there's an intention and there's a spirit you're operating from. And there's no getting away from it. Forgot what I was going to say.
Hey, what do y'all think about that explosion in Beirut, man?
I think it looked a lot like the explosion in Syria, and Israel's way too happy about it.
Are you being Syria?
Are you Syria?
That looked like a dirty bomb, bro.
It did, and I mean, Bibi Netanyahu was talking about that site before. I mean, I can go on all day about Israel, but they're not our greatest ally, and they always end up getting us into their problems. You know, we finance them. We lose good American soldiers to fight their wars. Our country prospered when we were isolationist, when we didn't get ourselves involved in that. We were ready to take on any contenders, but we were stronger when we didn't get spread out so far. We're so spread thin right now, it's just crazy.
And then our whole country's falling apart at the seams right now.
Exactly, from the inside out. We're rotting. It looks a lot like World War II Berlin.
And, dude, I'm surprised that, I mean, more people are waking up, but how do you not see that this whole COVID thing, right? It's just a coincidence of everything else that's happening with it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not just COVID that's going on. It's all, like, the race war, the dividing. Like, it's just absolutely insane. In my life, I've never seen any so much chaos. And for me, it just looks like the Democrats wanted so bad to, get Trump out, and they hate Trump so bad. It reminds me of a family where there's a spoiled, rotten kid that just won't get his way, and so he's at Disneyland and he's throwing a tantrum and he's ruining the whole day for everyone else, right? And that's what they're doing, is that they're like, well, since we're not getting what we want, we're going to make your life a living hell.
Yeah.
I believe that if this was to happen under any other president, this country would be gone already.
Yeah.
Because Donald Trump has a lot of fortitude, man. This dude, I mean, he might say some things that people find distasteful, whoopity-doo. And, every decision he makes is not going to be the best. But the stand that he takes is stronger than any other president would have taken. Because a lot of these people who have been president, even George W. Bush, would back down, say, or apologize or just, fold. And Trump is like, no, this is America, and we're going to treat it like America. So if you want to try to destroy this country, you're going to prison. That's how it's supposed to be.
Right.
not, you know,
He's
no, that's
the
not right.
best.
Let's section off a part and give it to them.
He's the best we've had in a long time. However, I'm no puppy dog for any man. I don't fall for. I don't get caught up in him either, and I'm well aware of things that I think he's been weak on. And you know, the people don't understand how the office of the president over, you know, every term that passes has only expanded its power, and that position never loses power. It actually has. It's the most powerful office in the land, in many ways. So yeah, I know some people believe in the whole trust the plan, and you know, wait and see. And yes, there's some good things that come out of letting people expose themselves in their anger. But he could have done a lot. Like, I mean, the way I look at it as a good father, I'm not gonna let my family fall apart and my house fall apart just to expose somebody. At some point, you gotta just use your powers and put things in order, because you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. The news is gonna call you all kinds of names. They're gonna say it anyways, so why don't you just act and restore order off the bat? Why didn't he let so much madness go on for so long?
Right, he's like the dad at Disneyland. The tantrums happening. Get that kid, throw him in the car, and tell him you're not going to Disneyland anymore.
Is it the president's job to go city to city, state to state, cleaning up everybody's problem? Or does each state have its own municipality, its own law enforcement, and its own law? So if he was to do that, okay, look, I need to go clean up everybody's mess. That's why he can't just do that every time. You know, they have to handle their own business. But if they don't, then he has to step in. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be. But these people just sit back and let it happen, and then now he has to come and clean up the mess. That's how I see it.
It's
Because
true. I mean, we're founded on a federalist idea, and it's states' rights, and there's something to that, which is why I said I understand the angle of, you know, this is one way to wake people up. It's like a shock to the system. You can see that, you know, it really comes down to the people. Like, Christians let this happen. Americans let this happen. You know, when it comes to like porn and my take on, you know, the tribe and how when they use media and finance to enslave countries, it's not out of hate, because in the end, who took their loans? Who watches their porn? It's our fault.
Right. It's
as
the same.
people.
It's the same accountability thing about, like, you know, a lot of people will say that the black community they fed them crack, right? It's
Right.
like it's like if you put heroin in my room all over, that doesn't mean that I'm gonna, like, one day I'm like, ah, damn it, I'm gonna
can't
shoot
blame the
it up.
CIA for the crack epidemic.
I chose to do it at the end of the day, even though it is still wrong to make that my influence. You know, it definitely increases the chances of you being tempted.
Exactly. So it's recognize the evil in people, see the spirit, have that foresight. You can't see the future, but if you're a Christian, you love what's right, you should be seeing what's coming. You should see the devil coming from a mile away. And I think too many people don't. They just have hindsight, and it's easy enough to look back and see your mistakes, but you keep getting caught up in the same problems, and you don't see what's coming. You can't see the devil trying to trap you. That's what we need. We need more Christians who have that foresight, because I think too many people just stop at the point of, oh, I realize I've been living wrong, but they don't get their own light or vision.
Yeah, you're right about that.
You know what I've been seeing a lot of too is, like, people riding the bandwagon, the BLM bandwagon. Like, in one sense, they're like, I hate capitalism, but then they're capitalizing off the movement. They're selling merch.
Yeah.
You know,
Come get your masks.
they're riding the wave, like capitalizing off of it. And it's like even this guy that was on Jesse's thing on the Fallen State, right? Like, he now has an identity and a persona and a job of activism to go out and do something that gives him purpose. So he can't give that up. You know, if he's like, you're right, Jesse, then he will no longer have his niche to make money or to get people riled up, just like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson. They're all capitalizing off of it in the name of hating capitalism.
Yeah. Where did all that money go for George Floyd, man? Did his family get that money, or did Al Sharpton greed his pocket?
They got so rich. Even their GoFundMe, they made millions off that.
And they're probably like, man, George finally did something for the family.
They probably spent it all.
So, T,
they were probably tired of him anyway.
Speaking on off the politics side, Black Stepdad had an interesting comment. He says, not gonna lie, I was tempted to watch an adult film the other day. What do you recommend? So for anyone here in the chat, that's probably one of the biggest things to overcome for men, if they are trying to overcome, which is the sex with the women out of wedlock and the FAP to the porn. What would you say to anyone struggling or black stepdad when he gets those thoughts? What would you tell your son if ever that conversation came up?
Son.
It's funny, man, because we were talking about that at work the other day. How, especially with men, one of the hardest struggles is lust, and especially if you're in a strained relationship with a woman, or you're not, if things are going wrong, it's an easy thing to lean on is lust. And my recommendation for that is to really just, I hate to say it so simply, but run. Get away from it, you know what I mean? Put the stuff down. Turn the computer off.
Get busy with your hands, like go build something.
But you know what I noticed too is that
quit
there's
going to Gold's Gym on Yoga Pants Day.
there's a reason why it doesn't go just straight to I'm gonna watch porn. Like I noticed on my Instagram, right? I unfollowed all the like booty hole models and all these girls that are thirst trapping. They're like, check out my Nutrigrain bar, and it's just her like camel toe.
They're like, be the change you want to see in the world, and it's just their butt.
But you go on like my explore page, it's just all those girls, and then you
All
start
butts.
looking at it, and then it tempts you into don't go through one door, go through the next door. Like I noticed that there's things that lead you in to those thoughts. To where you're like, all right, well, I'm gonna go on Pornhub now.
Yeah, you start on Instagram and you end up on Pornhub.
It's just instant gratification, man. That's kind of our society now. It's instant gratification. I'll put a post up, I get 5,000 likes, and yay, you know what I mean? It's instant gratification. It's like, it used to be the time where gratification was earned through hard work and really, really laying a foundation and working your way up. And wow, look what I built. Now you just, shake those cheeks a little bit, and now all is well. So even, it's that's our society now.
It is. I kind of on the same wavelength as you. Is be aware of it. You start watching yourself, and like Trevor says, you know what's gonna happen when you look at that Explorer page. It's going to be usually through the internet because that's where it is. Most people are online anyways nowadays. Very few of us are watching TV regularly. So know that. Stay off your Explore page. Unfollow all the thoughts. Block them if you got to. So maybe it'll help, change the algorithm, but I doubt it because the world is trying to seduce you.
And if you
then
slip,
stay busy.
but if you slip up too, what makes it worse is that you're judging yourself. You start suffering because you're like, oh man, I shouldn't have done that and I don't want to do it. And it makes it harder. It's like when you smoke weed or something, you want to quit.
Yeah, especially
you set a day. You're like, all right, on Thursday I'm gonna quit, and then you create an expectation, and then when you don't do it, you're like, man, I can't do anything right. It's the same kind of thing.
There are certain things that are struggles, and then there are certain things that are just what you give into. So like you said, some people have a struggle with drinking. They might stop drinking for a while, and the next thing you know, they're drinking again for a little bit, then they stop. So they're struggling with that. Struggle means there's a resistance at some point.
Yeah,
but
conflict.
then you have the person that's like, man, I'm straight up going to the strip club. That's not a struggle. You literally drove over there and went into the strip club. You can't accidentally do a drive-by shooting.
Exactly.
You can't accidentally cheat on your wife.
You can't tell me you were driving over there without knowing you're driving over there.
Actually, the guy that was on Jesse's on the Fallen State was saying stuff like that. He was saying that your environment is what causes you. Like, what do you say? Like, if you have two parents, do you grow up having character? And he says that's not necessarily true. If you rob, shoot, and steal from somebody, it's not because you have bad character or that you have no values. It's because pressure of society has led you to do it. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Just more excuses.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But I will say that with all the madness going on, because it's easy to get black-pilled by all the stuff happening, but if you are a Christian, which most of the people here in the chat and everyone hanging out is, or at least believing what's right, you gotta. The way I look at it is, this is the best year of my life, and it really has been the best year of my life. I've seen so many observations, got to know people. I've been able to see that spiritual battle with better eyes, and feel I have more light, more vision, more clarity. And it doesn't matter if the world is on fire all around you. Like, that's the whole point of waking up, is that it doesn't matter. If you're married, then your world is your wife and your kids, and if you're not married, your world is you and God, and that's it. And like, you can't save the world, you can't wake anybody up. You just live your life right, perfectly, one moment at a time, and that's it. Don't let the fact that, look at China's on fire, or the gays are taking over. Well, whatever. You go from reveal to reveal. You when it's your turn to vote or your turn to say something, then you say it and you keep moving.
Yeah, well, hey guys, I'm gonna get off the phone, man. We've been on for a long time. I know somebody else probably wants to call, but I love you guys, man. It's been
I love you, bro.
Y'all again. See you again, and
Good to,
God bless you.
It's good. It's like, you don't know what you're missing until it arrives.
Yeah, it's good to hear from
you.
you.
We took
again,
a break and we came back and it was like, wow, it's good to talk to you, T.
Keep that sledgehammer nice and clean.
My man.
The way she likes it. Baby.
All right, guys. Y'all take care, man.
All right. Good night, T.
All right. Yeah.
All right.
That was
There
cool. Good to hear from him. Yoga Pants Day.
T.
That's right. Don't go to the gym on Yoga
It's
Pants
refreshing, man. Like to hang out with people, and this is why we started doing this live anyways, is because you want to find like-minded people, and it's hard to find these days. I mean, I'll speak for myself. Being in LA, in music and everything, like 90 to 95% of the people I've known over 15 years have turned against me. I don't hear from them.
Everybody.
They don't like. They're gonna pay me back by not liking or commenting on my stuff or
I know how I'll make them pay.
sending me a DM. So it's refreshing to be around people that of all races, right? That aren't sensitive, that aren't committed to misunderstanding you, aren't like, that's so key, man. Because like everywhere else, it's like you got to walk on eggshells. And if you don't walk on eggshells and you speak your mind and you say things that's true, people get all offended and they shame you.
That's the imposing.
They're going to shame you, but tell you that you shouldn't shame other people.
Right.
Well, they shame you for being you.
If someone really loves you, they don't impose on you. They'll correct you, but they don't hate you for it. They don't get upset at you for it. Maybe they speak with a few less words. They're a little more stern. But there's a difference between being imposing and actually loving somebody. And that's the way, again, going back, if you're a Christian, it's the way you should be living your life. You're not trying to impose on anybody. Everyone has the right to be wrong. I can't force you to be right, as Trevor says.
Yeah. What did I say? You don't have to. You're like, you don't have to agree with me. I can't force you to be right.
Exactly. It's nice, man. Like, there's very few people. Like, he's one of them. I can count on my hands how many people I know that actually truly don't impose. They know who they are. They have their own set of eyes, and their true identity. It's like being a kid again, where kids don't think about stuff. You just start playing games. You go play tag. Super innocent. It's just pure. And that's the whole thing about being reborn. If you're being reborn, guess what? You're a baby again. So you got to go back to that childlike state before the trauma of your parents and all the other idiot adults around you who let the devil in. Because that's what trauma does. Trauma opens the door. Go back to being a child.
It's crazy because when you do have trauma as a child, that shapes how you're going to have the next day, And so imagine all your life, all the days you've had, and what brought you to conclude with the way you see reality now, right? That's the key, is being able to realize that you never knew anything. Everything you knew was wrong. And to have to reformat your brain and let it all go and really like be willing to uncover all the lies that you believed and what shaped that. Because there's a root to it. There's a root of why we see life through the lens we see it through.
It's just like, not to pick on them, but when you're gay, everyone I've known who identifies as that has had sexual trauma as a child. I got a good friend from high school who identifies that way. He's a Christian. I mean, he says he's a Christian. I love him. I wouldn't call him a Christian, but he's still, I have love for him. And it's just the same. It's the same principle that you become that. It's like a vampire. I just say it's vampirism. One guy who's traumatized or one lady who's traumatized abuses a kid, and then now they turn that kid into an abuser.
It's like anytime something happens to you that is traumatic, whether you know it's trauma or not, you end up wanting to do it to other people. Like, I remember my mom, she used to like play jokes on me all the time. Like, and I thought it was normal, right? I thought it was like, and jokes are cool, but it's a weird thing. Like, I remember, I think I've told this story once. Like, there's this thing called niacin that you can take to flush your
Some
body
B
out.
vitamin.
It's and totally makes you all like red. Or I was probably like maybe 14 or whatever, and she's all, here, take this, and she thought it was so funny that I started itching and everything like that, right? And so I was uncomfortable.
She's laughing at
She's
you.
laughing, and then of course after it's funny. But then what did I do? I was like, oh, I'm gonna get my friend with it. You know, it's the
Exactly.
same type of thing, and that's true what you said. Like, not all, but most any gay friends I've ever had have always imposed a conversation on, well, maybe you're gay and you just don't know it. You know,
They
trying
always
to get
turn
me
you.
to be whatever. It's like I'm not gonna go out of my way and try to make them straight because it's none of my business.
It never even
anyway.
comes up in the conversation, but there is that other angle on their side. And what was I gonna say?
It's like if you smoke weed, you want nothing more than a buddy who's gonna smoke it with you.
Exactly.
So you can get someone to smoke for the first time, or if you're a guy that has sex with girls all the time, you how much more you'd want a virgin.
Right.
You
And
know?
then and that same thing, if you're a slut maker or a girl who's a slut, it goes back to your childhood. It goes back to your resentments. Yeah, the lack of actual role models you had and the ones that failed you, they made you like that. You pattern yourself after the adults who traumatized you. You don't see it as trauma, but it is, and you become them. And that's the other thing, is that so many people don't have an identity of their own. Even when they're waking up, you're trying to find all the seams, all the attachments you've added to your life that build up this identity that you've had, and you got to remove all of them. And some of them are harder to find than others, but the seams are there, and you just got to cut all the little sutures. Just eventually, it's just all that's left is the kid before the storm. Just the kid. So you got to keep looking. Never get too cocky and think that, like, yeah, I made it. Just be humble, smile, and keep watching yourself. Roll on the floor, laughing, talks bad about smoking weed, then takes a big hit of the vape. I'm not talking bad about smoking weed.
Yeah, I'm using it as an
example about the vampirism thing, that you want others to be just like
exactly. And whatever, everyone's got their thing, and I grew up. My parents smoked in bed. Like my mom smoked when she was pregnant, so I've always had
What?
nicotine issues of wanting to smoke. You know, I used to steal
That's
cigarettes.
crazy. You remember, like, it used to be like, we would go to the restaurant, it was non-smoking, smoking, but the whole place smelled like cigarettes.
Yeah. My parents would always be like, the whole family, like my grandma and everything, they're always like, this is crazy. We need a smoking section. And I'm not like making excuses, but I understand why. Nicotine is super addictive, man. I do want to stop, but at least one thing is it's not like a mind-altering substance as much as like smoking weed. Because I used to smoke weed too. And
So
since I
much.
started like waking up in my life and realizing how the present moment is what's real, and that's where reality is, and as a creative person especially, like, I used to be in my imagination all the time because, of the dysfunction in my house. I would escape subconsciously. I would, think about what I wanted to be when I, grew up, or create all these stories in my head about
Anything to be present in the moment of the trauma. That's exactly what it is.
It's like
Because you
to
don't want to
take me
be in that
away.
present moment because
Exactly,
it's trauma.
exactly.
So you run upstairs.
So I would, of course, creating music and writing songs and making music was my escape to do that. But then now as I'm getting older and I'm waking up, and because I stopped smoking weed, and then I tried it again, like, last year or whatever, and it totally brought me into my thoughts so much more, and I didn't like it anymore. When I used to smoke it every day, and I liked being out into my thoughts, and I used to think I can think myself into happiness.
Yeah, affirmations.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, I don't know. Before the weed fully fell away, I had a toke shortly after meeting Jesse, and the observation was never so clear as it was that day. It was like, and Trevor can relate, where you just instantly realize, I'm in my head. I can't stop thinking. I want off this ride. Oh, we got special guest, Manny.
Is this Mr. Bang?
This is Mr. Bang.
Emmanuel Bang?
Yeah.
What's up, Manny
Hey,
Bang?
what's going on, guys?
What's
How y'all
cracking?
doing?
Good. How you
Burger.
doing?
All is well.
So how?
Yeah, but
What happened with your
I
feet,
think
bro?
that's interesting. I think it's sodium overload.
Too much
That's probably
sodium.
what it is. Yeah. I've been getting heavy on the salt. I got some new salt. I just feel like too heavy on it.
Yeah,
I'm back now, brother.
yeah, take it off because your food's gonna have a lot of sodium. So like, just work with that for a while, and then also, bro, I go on these hikes. Come do these hikes. Let's get down in the mountains,
That's what I
bro.
was thinking about.
Let's get our Brokeback Mountain on. I just can't quit you.
It was all a dream.
Yeah, but how y'all doing?
Oh man, best day of my life every day.
We missed you at the men's meeting, bro.
Yeah, you missed a good men's meeting.
I know. You don't have to tell me. You weren't allowed.
Yeah, you know,
You didn't get a permission slip.
every man speaking.
So when's the wifey coming to church?
I don't know.
I almost think it's better not to, bro.
It could be, because
Like,
she'll just use that against you.
You know, like it's like, you know how it's like if you got a real religious wife that's like all about the Bible, right? And you're supposed to submit to your husband and have him be the head of the wife, right? But she's so wrapped up into thinking she knows the Bible so much, she's going to challenge her husband with the Bible and be like, well, it says here in Ethiopia 14, you know, it's going to say, she's going to say the same thing with Jesse. And I noticed that, you know, like, they're going to be like, well, Jesse says, well, I'll talk to Jesse and ask him. Because there's a new middleman between when it's like, you know, like, could just bring more hell.
Yeah, there's
Yeah, my wife tried that on me a couple times.
yeah, they'll use I mean, it's not them. It's not them. It's that ego that's dying. You know, that will die as long as you keep leading it right. But they'll take what you said, like, you know, they'll say, oh, you're angry, or you should they'll just try to flip the tables on you, take your words like an intellectual, and then throw them back at you. But that's where you get tested. You don't get mad. You just kind of laugh or smile because it's not a big deal. You see it coming.
Yeah, I'm pressing my wife. I keep pressing her until like she starts blowing up. Like, are you saying she's blowing up? So actually, I wanted to acknowledge it for herself. That's the best way.
Exactly. I think it's amazing that what you can do when you really love them like a father. Like I think, for me at least, I don't hold on to it, but that's the most important observation, was that you have to love women like a father, love your friends like a father, because if you love them like a father, whether it's your best friend, a girl
I think
you're dating,
you were supposed to love them like a daughter.
no, but you love them with the love of a father. Yeah.
You love them like she's your father.
As you're their father. But it really changes the perspective, and you realize that a good father's going to want what's best for them. He's not going to give them hell. He's not going to give them a hard time. He only corrects if he has to correct. He doesn't get in his feelings about anything. It's just kind of easy, and I don't know, it'll just speak for itself. So if anyone's having trouble with that, just remember that. You got to love them like a father. Like you're their father.
Yeah. That's what I was telling my wife, because it's like, I'm committed to God the way you should be committed to me. It's like, there's an order to like the way this is set up, and you have to get God through me. So I'm like, she gets upset about that. That's the one thing that a lot of women get it. So they always want to be the next. I'm like,
right.
What's the next thing?
How does she? Well, I mean, as you've been kind of growing into yourself, have you seen just like a continuation of her kind of slowing down, having less and less of these drifts into her head?
I don't know what I'm supposed to do next, though. And that's how I'm living. I'm just kind of living day by day.
That's it, man. Like, it really isn't. I mean, it just seems it's so easy. But I guess, you know, it's just, you've been living in your head for however many years, so it seems like it's hard. But that's it. It's just like day by day.
It's freeing, though. It's like a freeing experience. So that's why even when y'all talk about how can like somebody stop watching porn, it's like, with me, it's like it should be in you already if you're not watching. It's like I might slip up a little bit, but it's like, oh look, and I'm like, I don't really need this, and I just swipe away. And it's like I don't have that urge to go back anymore.
That's right. I mean, you got a beautiful woman at home. It's the one for you. It's the one that compliments you. It's like you don't need any of that other stuff. Like, it's not all those worldly ideas that it's impossible to be faithful and monogamous. It's just a load of crap. Like, when you're doing it right, you don't want to see anybody else. You don't have eyes for anybody else. You can objectively say, yeah, that person's a good-looking person, but there's no feelings there. Like, you would never do anything because it doesn't matter.
It's like that lust factor is gone.
Exactly.
That was like one of my main factors. it's like you look at a woman and then you just like watch that, you know? It's like
Which is all just thoughts, and that's why you have that the blessing from God now, so you don't that volume goes down. Doesn't mean he doesn't try to talk to you, but it's so low. It's like you don't even hear him.
But the thing is like once you start separating yourself from your thoughts, and you start to know and catch yourself when you're in thoughts, it becomes easier to recognize when you're being seduced by thoughts. It definitely is hard when it comes to your environment with the ladies, you know, at least for me. Like, you know, you see something and it's like, it becomes like satisfying, like a drug where you like lusting, and it makes you just like want more, you know. But then you realize, well, what's it going to lead to? It's just like, it's a trap. It's like, you know, cheese and you're pulling. It's like,
That's right.
even if you do have sex, it never satisfies anything. You got to have sex again. It's just a never ending thing.
That's it. It's easy. So if any of the guys in the chat are struggling with that, you just need to look to other men for advice who are on that path. Like, never take advice from somebody who's not awake. You're just asking for confusion. You know, like a lot of people do
it gets
that.
worse.
Yeah.
That's the next thing I want to talk about.
But a lot of people they have to surround themselves with enablers that are going to validate, you know, whatever, even if it's their political beliefs, you know. Like, that's why I notice all the musicians and people I've known that, you know, cut me off, because they don't want to be influenced by what I think. They don't want to talk to me about anything. They just want to write me off and run away. And that's the same thing with so many things, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're gonna hang out with who's gonna enable and validate the way they are, because otherwise they would have to change and they would have to do something and examine themselves and actually see it. But they'd rather be ignorant and stay in that blissful ignorant state, you know.
It's like it's that female spirit, which is really the devil spirit. That like Trevor, I like the way he said it. That when to feel like a winner, you need a loser when you live in that spirit. You just can't see.
Yeah.
You can't see things for yourself and see your own value.
Yeah, in order for you to be
need the comparison.
to be a judge, you gotta have a criminal.
Exactly. You should just see it yourself. You don't need a comparison, because comparing is exactly what the devil does. That's how he gets you to try to destroy people, destroy yourself. It's always a weight, like weights and measures, and weighing this against that.
Yeah, he's big on the reversal, and that's the one thing a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah, and have you noticed that since you've come back to God and woken up, that he can't use those same old lies, so now he's got to use the truth. He'll try to get you caught up in the truth, because what else can he use?
Yeah, and that was the one thing I want to talk about. There was the one guy that I follow online. He was like big on like this Q movement thing.
Yeah.
Cause I just been like diving into it to see what's going on. You know, this is an interesting like build up, like what's going to happen next. You know, so and it's like this guy is educating liberals. I don't know if you noticed that, Trevor. This one guy you have posted a couple things he had, but like he kind of just backed out of the Q movement. Like he did a whole 180. He was like, I don't trust this Q or Trump. He's like he's a Freemason. Like he just went in and all the whole Q movement is like blown away. That this dude, he got like 500,000 subscribers, right? And he was asking for money.
Are you talking about the educating liberals guy?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that dude's a straight clown.
What happened?
There's this guy.
I know, I follow him.
Oh yeah, so he completely reversed his position. He's saying Hillary would have been a better president because she wouldn't have lied to us. She would have been just like herself.
How did I miss this?
The dude's a plant. I always thought he seemed kind of weird, bro. Like,
Hey, it was so strange. But it's like it was so strange how like this shit just blew up. Like bro, like he had 1,800 Patreon supporters. 1,800, bro. He was making almost 100,000 a month.
That's insane.
And he was pushing Q like so hard, and people were coming in because of Q. It was like, yeah, Q this, Q that. But people was like, now it's like, the whole spiel's like an actor. Like,
that's why you
so
can't.
crazy.
This is exactly what's gonna happen. Like, do not get caught up in anybody. I don't trust any of these personalities. I don't get caught up in the president either. All I see, I can just observe what's happening. I see when he does things that are weird and are not in our best interest, and I see things that, all right, that looks like it could be in our interest. But either way, like, just see it. But certainly don't be following these personalities online. Like there's a lot of people riding this conservative wave. Trevor has had interactions with some, and like it's just really obvious how many people are just trying to coat ride.
Yeah, everybody's, I mean, all in the name of capitalism, right? They're all, they're becoming novelties.
Right,
You know,
like a
where
black
it's like,
conservative. It's an easy novelty. I'm gonna throw a MAGA hat and I'm a
right.
black dude.
It's like, it's, and I get it, like, 'cause, you know, music and stuff is kind of similar in the sense that you know, you're not really creating anything new. All you're doing is taking a genre and taking another genre and mixing them together and creating something new. And you're like, look, I created this niche over here, and you can listen to me because it's totally different, right? And people are doing that with politics and stuff. It's like, oh, if I combine, I'm an Israelite mixed with, and I'm a Hawaiian, and if I, you know, whatever, it's like, then people are like, oh, look, I'm different, and I'm LGBT, so you should vote for me.
Exactly.
So I'm telling you, it's like this just proves to me that this world is just full of actors, and then people just acting their way into any position, and it's like it's being so fake. Nobody's being honest. They're not being truthful.
There's no super chat option.
Like,
Oh, maybe I didn't enable
it's
it.
so crazy.
Oh, it's all right. We'll do the next stream.
Well, I do have Venmo and Cash App if you want to.
Venmo. We gotta get his Patreon. I gotta get his Patreon set up. Go ahead. Sorry, man.
But it's just my name, Trevor Wesley.
But it's like this world is just full of actors, and like what you were saying that like Trump was in at the 5G tower. He was talking about this hydrochloroquine that has some like poison in it to keep you attached to stuff. I'm like, what is going on? Like, the conspiracy theory got worse. It was like I was looking at him like a tinfoil hat. But it's like the things were just getting so crazy. Like everybody was talking about him, dogging him, and he was saying that it felt like he was worshiping Q. When it wasn't about worship. It was like he never said nothing about worshiping somebody, you know. Because I looked into all this stuff, and like, so he's saying like, oh yeah, he's worshiping. I should be like get into the Bible. Now he's gonna be a Bible thumper. I'm like, okay. And he's leading these 400,000 people astray. Now it feels like it's gonna get worse.
Yeah, it's
Like, so that's what I was looking at.
well. That's the thing about not having your own identity. That's why people, the way I picture it is like so many people can find the way to the Father and back to God, but they don't actually step out of the woods. They just go, oh, I found it, and then they just live at the edge of the border, never actually being in that perfect peace, just looking at it, thinking they made it, and that's good enough. And they never have their own vision. They still have insecurities and doubts and drama, and they get caught up in anything. They just can't see things. Like, just look at it. Don't pick the flower. Just look at the flower and keep walking.
Yeah. Because even when I was looking at it, like, he's a, he had a son out of wedlock.
Who had
And,
it?
like, I'm just looking at this guy, that's the liberals. Like, I knew he was bad since he had a son out of wedlock.
Oh yeah, what kind of Christian is that?
And not married to her. I'm thinking about stuff like, I look at this guy and say, bro, you were fornicator. You know, like, I'm saying these things, like, that's who you are. It's like, you're doing it the wrong way. It's like, you're not a Christian. Not
Not at all.
Like,
That's the thing.
That's not what Christians do.
If you don't know for yourself, you're gonna fall for all these people, and then they become your examples. Like that dude, like you said, he's having babies out of wedlock, hasn't married the girl, he doesn't love her. He's just doing it all wrong. He wants money. He likes this fame he's got. He can go left and right, up and down. It's just like, it's crazy. Like, just worry about yourself. That's it. God destroyed whole cities and told people like Lot just to leave, just don't look back. So why are we any different?
Yeah, and that's what I heard on the stream earlier talking about conservatives. Like, they even pandering just like the left too, you know, with the Democrats. It's like they're using the same playbook.
And
I was like, give us some truth.
and the followers of a lot of these people are like, it's so weird, man. Like, they just really ultimately want to be entertained and validated in some sense, and then they group together with people. Like, I feel like the more posts that I'm honest and I wouldn't say vulnerable, but, you know, I'm just being myself. You know, I'm not like I get the least engagement, the least, you know, any kind of like people want to engage with it or whatever. It's like, but as soon as you as soon as it's a novelty, or it's like, it's something that's like,
It's a safe thing because
it's what everyone else, like if you post something that everyone else is posting about in the
Right.
moment, they're going to be like, oh, I got all my talking points. Well, I've already commented on 5 posts about the same thing. I'm ready. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah, here,
Yeah.
Black Victoria said it perfectly.
Black Victoria.
Everyone is playing a role. And you're not supposed to play a role. You're just supposed to be yourself.
Yeah. Be real. That's it. Like,
That's right.
all. That's what I've been telling my wife. I'm like, I was like, getting tired of all these fake people. It's like everybody you come across. It's like even the people that you think are divas are the fake ones too.
They're some of the worst.
I see through it now.
Some of those ones who put on the most decent front are more manipulative because they understand what you want to see.
And what you want to hear.
Yeah, until you cross them.
Yeah, and that's what it's been like. So I'm saying it's just been entertaining. That's why I'm like, I'm just entertained by this. It's like, and that's what Jesse's like. You're supposed to be like a kid. Just freeing, and that's how I'm feeling like I just feel free. And it's like nothing's holding me back. I'm not gonna let anything phase me at all.
Yeah,
That's
we're just like basically observers, and all we can do is see things. And when we see doors, we walk through them, and that's it. Like that's one of the things that I'm catching myself is realizing expectations that I had that I didn't know I had. I didn't even know that I created expectations. Like, you ever been like invited to a party or somewhere, and then you show up and you're like, this is it?
Yeah.
Like, like little things like that where like
Subtle
I didn't
things.
even know that I expected it to be different. But you're like, oh, I didn't expect this, right? That means you expected something else.
Yeah, it's a simple thing. A real man, a man of God, has no bad days. Everything's fine. You can joke, you can raise your voice if it's appropriate and you need to, like tell someone to get out of the way or get down or whatever. But
Get down.
You just don't have a bad day.
That's why even like trust is a funny thing, right? Is it good to trust anybody? Because trust is an expectation where you're like, well, this person's proven that they're going to be a certain way, and so you have to hold them to. You never think that they're going to change, because people change, good and bad. So should you even trust anyone, or do you just wait and see, right? Until somebody proves otherwise, like I don't expect somebody to pay me back, even if they have paid me back before. I'm not gonna be like, well, I know this person would, but until they prove that they can't, then I'm not lending you any money.
You just don't even think about it. You don't hold, because that's like you're holding on to the past. Like, oh, well, I trust him today, so I gotta hold that trust going forward. No, you just love him, and that's it. And then you wait till there's an observation to be seen, and if there's no observation, then amazing. It's great.
You don't love him in the sense of a feeling of security, like, oh, I have somebody I can trust. You love him in the sense of speaking up, saying what's true, and you hang around the right people that do the same thing, hold each other accountable. Then you're gonna, you're gonna grow, because isn't that what life is about? Like we come into the world alone and we die alone. So at the end of the day, we all help each other in the sense of correction, so that we can all grow. Because we're in this life alone, really. Like, as much as we want to feel like we have people supporting us or whatever, it's like we don't.
As a married man, Manny, how do you deal with quote unquote trust with your wife? Now that you're awake, what does that mean to you?
Trust. I don't know, it's like even with my relationship, it's kind of like, it's like I know for a fact that she's going to stand by my side regardless. It's like I feel it. Like I just know that we have a connection there. Like she got my back regardless of the situation. It's like there's things that she say, oh, don't cross. But it's like I'm slowly just like waking her up even in that process. Because it's like I'm not going to force her to do anything, but just know that I'm slowly trying to get her to wake up. Because it takes time. And that's what a lot of people don't know. It's like, that's why it's like you see people in 40, 45-year relationships. That was a different time because they had television. We have television, internet, all these things. They didn't have that back in the day. It was like you had to get to a payphone in order to call somebody. Here, you can call somebody anytime. You know what I'm saying? So it was hard to just to do things like that back in the day. So, and that's why a lot of people had long relationships because there was no internet. It was like we didn't have no way to communicate faster. So and that's like kind of what's going on now. It's like we got too much technology.
Well, there's too
And we
many
just, like,
there's too many
on it all the time.
distractions, and that's what the devil does best. Is every thought is a distraction. In the end, it's taking you away from being present. So it distracts you from the present moment.
And it brings me to remembering that conversation we had before about movies and TV and music or anything, right? It's like we're living experiences that we see other people having, thinking that we have the satisfaction of living them. Like, you know, you watch a movie about Alaska and then you feel like, yeah, I know Alaska. I've seen movies about it. And so if you didn't have any of those things, all you would have is your own real life experiences. And it would just be different because you'd hear a story from somebody and then you'd be like, whoa, I wonder what that's like. And then you go experience it yourself, you know?
You go experience it, yeah. Rather than just doing your own thing.
It's like with relationships. You watch enough movies.
Look at everybody else.
You watch enough movies and you've taken on every possibility in a relationship that they've told you about, you know, and so you're like, well, I know what that kind of girl's like. Oh, I know what this kind of guy's like.
It also
when
gives
you
you
really
expectations.
don't, exactly,
Like,
you don't.
This is what a relationship is.
You haven't had that relationship, but you've it's imposed onto you to where you have the experience of it when you never even experienced
And
it.
it's a subtle imposition. The film and media is a very subtle imposition. You don't see it happening, but you get caught up in the characters. You identify, just like with music, you identify as the person that's singing the song, and then before you know it, those memories, those events, almost become your events. You're living this virtual life in your head.
Right, and I notice a lot of people too, like you said, they'll create characters in movies, right? And it's almost like a plant. And then people will see that person and it looks kind of like them. Like say you're an overweight guy who wears a belly shirt or whatever, you know? And then you see that guy on TV and he plays this character and then you're like, oh, like I get it, that look, I'm gonna look like that guy. And then they take on that character because they feel like, oh, like I belong somewhere because that guy belonged in the movie. You know, like if that makes sense. I've seen it happen.
Just like even like clothing trends, it could come
Exactly.
from film, and then all of a sudden everyone's wearing the same damn thing.
Because everybody wants an identity. They want to feel like they belong.
Because they know something. A part of them knows that they lost themselves along the way.
Mm-hmm.
They just can't put their finger on it. Just like when you know, like for men, you know that something's wrong with the way you're dealing with women, and why you keep ending up in the same spot in that fallen state. You just can't put your finger on it.
Yep. And it's like that's why you gotta do a lot of like what Jesse said, do a lot of silent prayer, get to know yourself, get to know what your thoughts are, because the thoughts can dig to the memory, and that's what kind of like even with me, I found the truth of what it was that what was holding me back, and that was just my father holding me back, and his spirit was holding on to me. It's real weird how like a lot of people don't know, like it's like basically everybody's possessed. And they're possessed by the spirit of their parents. And it's so weird, like nobody connected like that. But it's like that spirit just holding on to your spirit, and now you just acting like them.
Right.
There's a good little comment from Chris here, just responding, but I thought this was, because I was talking about this topic with someone else, doing things for your wife, like small, simple things. He said, I still write letters to my wife. Old school things like that are important. She saves them all. And I said, I totally agree.
No, I'm just kidding.
Like, it's because it's all about what spirit you're coming from. Like, a lot of guys will do those things and lay it on thick, flowers, gifts, because they're not actually in love with you. They don't actually love you. They're just trying to get that nookie. You know, but I think if you really love your wife, you just, there's no zero expectation, like Trevor was talking about. You don't expect anything from it. You're just genuinely giving her this letter or this flower.
Do you notice that like expectations are the only reason why we suffer?
Yep.
Because there's always this expectation, and then when we don't meet it, we suffer because we didn't live up to it, or we're not what we thought. We didn't do what we thought we would do. And they're all like subconscious, you know. But if we're just observers living life, we got our health. Like, why would you ever be upset about anything?
Exactly.
Because you have acceptance for what reality is.
Do you still do things like that for your wife, Manny? Since you're a married man, so we can get the scoop.
You said, do I do what?
Do you do things like that, like small gifts, write little letters, simple things?
Oh, no.
No.
I was like, she know how I feel. Like, she should know already.
But see, even that, if you're a guy that does that all the time, right? Especially if you got a girl like that, And you've created the expectation. So when you stop doing it,
She might think
all of a
something's
sudden,
up.
oh, you've changed.
Or she'll think that you're cheating, or that you lost
It's
affection
gonna
for
do
her.
something. Like that's why for me, it's like I think there's a connection you have with somebody that's silent, you know, and is an understanding where you know that you're on the same page, and that the order has to be there. Like that's number one to me. I realize is that she has to submit to you loving what's right, and that you're gonna look out for her and do what's best.
Exactly.
And if she questions that, it's like a man's trust in his woman comes from him trusting that she trusts in him. If she doesn't trust in him, then he's not going to trust her.
Right, because she's not going to listen, and it's hard for women when they're trying to overcome that, because what's the devil going to say? He's going to get in her ear. He's going to tell her, "Oh, look at this. You got to submit to him, and he's always, got the last word, or it feels like he's got the last word, and he knows what's what. He knows it all." But the truth is, if you step away from that thought, is that he also has to take all of his things that are going on in his head and all his problems. He takes them upstairs. He takes them to the man. And he has to submit to God. It's never what the man wants to do. He's not acting out of his own will. He has to do what's right by her. And she doesn't see that conversation happening. She doesn't see those decisions taking place. But if he loves God, then he's also got to take his problems to God. He just can't give them to her. So it seems like it's one-sided, but it's not. It's just the rank, like military. You got to run it up the chain of command.
Yeah. And that's my wife don't get. It's like, she didn't get a one him, like, the pizza's like there for you.
Pizza sounds amazing.
Pizza?
I want pizza right now.
No, the piece.
Oh, peace.
Like the piece, like the chest piece. Like that's what I'm talking about. The pizza's already there for you.
Right.
Like, you should see the ranking in that. Like, it's like God, man, woman. And it's like, I don't see why they don't get it.
Yeah, it's just the way I look at it is it takes time. If you're leading her in the right way, and you're doing it not because you know what's right, but because God's telling you what's right, then you should see and observe a very obvious pattern of her having her own observations. Her light grows. She sees herself and the world with better vision, and she's out of her thoughts more often. There should be a progression, and you should notice that. She should notice it, and that's how you know. And it's not because you're special. It's just because you know your role. You answer to the man upstairs, and you have a duty, and you're charged with taking care of her, like as if you were her father.
Yeah. That's the best thing. I'm saying, I'm just having a great time. Like, I just feel like I'm having a great time. But, you're not supposed to feel like that.
But I know what you mean.
I'm trying to explain it.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, we don't get caught up in the semantics, because if you just know when someone's coming from the right spirit. Language is limited. Sometimes we say, I think, I use the word think, but you don't actually mean it in terms of thoughts. But don't overcomplicate it. I know what you mean.
Yeah. But it's okay. I want to talk about last sentence, Trump. Because I was hearing you last time. It was like, even with this Q thing, it's weird, because I've been following it. And it's like most of these things are aligning up to this point, I mean. But it's like, I don't know, it's like even with Trump, it's like it seems like you're taking baby steps to actually dig out all the stuff that's happening in the government. So it's kind of like, you got those big old trees. It's like the biggest tree, and the roots go so far down, you have to pick this tree up. It's going to take a long time. So you got to start piece by piece in order to dig the rest of the roots out. So, and that's what I'm thinking he's doing. But it's like, we'll see. I'm just going to wait and see attitude. But I feel like I'm on the side with him.
Yeah. No, where we always talk often about it. So, my stance, and you have the same idea. Just keep watching. You look at it. Well, that's interesting. That's cool. And just wait and see. Like, there's nothing in the future that we don't know the future. So I don't know if there's some great grand chess game playing out. It'd be kind of cool, but we just gotta wait and see if it's revealed.
Right, and that's our expectation that we want to have. Is we expect that we're going to figure out the puzzle piece that's going to make. Why do we as humans just want to know everything?
Right, it's that
We
spirit.
want to know because we want to play God, and one of the things that we want to know is the meaning of life.
Yep.
right? Well, that's the number one question of everything. Is like, why am I here? What's the meaning of life? And I feel like at the end of the day, life is empty and meaningless, and we're meaning-making machines. So we just, we have to endlessly create meaning for everything.
Family.
Yeah, 'cause it's like, I just say we are nothing. Like, 'cause it's like, that's basically what it is. We're nothing. We're something with him, but we're basically nothing.
Yeah, no, we are nothing.
And once you start thinking about like what empty and meaningless is, all of a sudden you have this negative connotation to it, where now it's a thought that makes you depressed about it, and it's not true. It's just empty and meaningless is awesome. What is it? The emptiest emptiest bowl makes the loudest gong. You know, if you have something in it, then it doesn't make noise and it doesn't resonate. But if it's empty, it's like, I don't know why this pops in my head. You know how it says in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, right? Think of this in a scientific term, like in the beginning, right? Beginning is time. God created the heavens, right? The heavens is space, because you need space. And then earth is matter, right? So God created, in the beginning, time. God created the heavens, which is space, and the earth, which is matter. So it's like, it's crazy, man. I don't know why that popped in my head.
Because I get it.
Because you can't have one without the other.
Once you see all the things that what God is showing us, it's amazing to see these things. Because like, because I know y'all feel the same way. Because it's like we're dependent on His nature and not our own. So it's like even with expectations, I don't have any of them. It's like I might see, options of what could be an expectation, but I just let it go. I just keep doing what I'm doing, moving forward, and I was thinking about it. So I kind of removed those thoughts to not think about anything. Because like, what's the point? You're gonna put yourself in stress already.
Exactly. A man should always be in a good mood. Like it's you can joke and things, and people might say, "Oh, that sounds like you got mad." No.
And isn't it funny though, because you can only be in a bad mood when something has control over you and you become a slave to something else. Because if someone has the power to say something that upsets you, that means they have control over you. They control how you feel. If you don't get to, go to Disneyland when you thought you're going to go to Disneyland, all of a sudden Disneyland has power over you. Or if you don't get to eat something you want to eat. I remember when I was younger, like, when I was craving food or something, and then we were going to go somewhere, and then plans changed, and I had something else, I'd be so pissed.
Yeah, that was one of the worst.
I'd be like,
I wanted that.
Exactly. I was ready to have that burrito or whatever it was.
The expectations.
Oh man, I felt that before. It's like, cause somebody was gonna be there. It's like, oh yeah, I'm about to hang out with my friends.
Right.
And then they're like, oh man, I can't even show up. And it's like, shoot, I was trying to do this. They make it upset.
Right. You look forward to
anger takes over.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, man. Like,
hey, I have a question for the chat, because I don't know who's on D Live. I'm thinking maybe we start streaming from D Live, because I don't think we would have as many issues, and I won't have to worry about having these kind of conversations and getting demonetized or whatever. That maybe we could start doing it from D Live to make sure that we could say whatever we want to say, and the people who don't know, because a lot of the people that know me for my music and stuff, they don't know any of this stuff, which is a good thing, because maybe they'll come on and they'll see it. But I know that the people that are seeking will be the ones that will come on to D Live, and we'll get the community going there. I know there's a lot of people on D Live.
So we're gonna try to do a migration.
What do you guys think about D Live?
Does everyone here have D Live? Anyone not using D Live? Oh, Chris Hawk.
I haven't been on that in a while either.
Or we can, if we get this OSB working, we can do multiple streams, multiple platforms.
OBS.
Can I do like the YouTube option?
The only problem is the
general
internet.
Yeah.
But if I can...
But we probably will, at the very least, create another YouTube account, and then
just
start with
push
that.
it over.
Yeah. We'll
just push it to D Live.
We'll prep you. But YouTube's good because it covers it's like the general thing. Everyone uses it, and it gets the most people involved.
But I noticed that D Live is kind of an underground woke place. Like a lot of people, because Jesse is not on YouTube anymore, and you go to D Live, there's things about D Live that is like kind of cool. I feel like it's almost like what's that 4chan? Like how there's like a certain kind of person that attracts.
Chris says he'll get the D Live app for us. Amazing.
I'm just gonna do live. I left the D out.
Yeah, I need to
She'll
start
get that
using
later.
that though. I'll switch over. Just y'all go on. I just switch over to that.
Oh man. Well, Manny, thanks for calling in, man. We're gonna see if we can. Anyone else wants to jump in here?
Yeah.
We gotta do a.
Thanks, y'all.
Hey, we need to get that Korean barbecue this week, so let us know maybe Wednesday.
Oh yeah, we need to. Yeah, I'll let you know. Oh yeah, and Trevor, your music is fire.
Oh, thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man. I've been knocking out these songs
that
trying to
Buzz
finish
one
the
is
album.
good.
Have you heard the
Buzz one?
Buzz one? Yep.
The Buzz one is really good.
I'm
I like that one a lot.
evening.
That beat is production.
Thanks, man.
All right, y'all.
All right, man. Thanks, Manny.
All right, y'all have a good one.
God bless. Amazing. It's good to hear from Manny as always. Apparently, Hake banned Matt from D-Live,
What?
a mod band. Was it a mod or was it
Was
Hake?
it an accident?
They made me a mod on the Hake report. Oh, okay. Yep, banned on the D-Live chat. Well, that sucks. Consider staying on YouTube. Someone sent me a text. Who's texting me? Oh, Nicholas. Maybe multi-stream. We're grateful for YouTube. Yeah, no, I'm with you, Nick. I think YouTube is where it's at. It's just the
Nick
multi-stream.
Gonzalez?
Yeah.
What's up, bro?
So no, it's true. Multi-stream is easier. You can hit all platforms, but you should cover all bases, especially the biggest base, which is YouTube. Everyone has YouTube. You know, it's just useful. We're cleaning the channel. Yeah, you gotta play nice. I mean, hey, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So I understand that. Like, if you want to amplify your message or just be able to have these conversations, you gotta play by their rules. It's their platform. So what are you gonna do? So anyone else who wants to call in, Sylvia Smith, the number is 818-308-5559.
818-308-5559.
I think if anything should be dismantled, it's government, church, and schools. Yeah, well, I mean, we need some structure in life, but I definitely think the schools are rotten. Hayward, California. Let's see who this is. David. Oh, this is the first time. David, it's good to hear from you. I don't think you've called in before, but welcome, man. Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday. Yeah, it's my first time calling.
Yeah.
How you been? How's your Friday going? How's life?
Actually, today is my first day of unemployment. I just quit, or I gave my 2 weeks notice 2 weeks ago at my current job. And today is my first day of unemployment. I just wanted to have some time to myself after all this crazy COVID shit, you know? Oh, sorry for the language.
Yeah, that's okay. It slips, but yeah, no, it's nuts, man. But I mean, you just missed that extra 600, but I think they're gonna do something about adding more to it. But
Yeah.
other than that, how did you find the stream? We're always curious how people come.
I actually do not know how I found your guys' stream.
That's actually awesome.
I may have just added randomly because I enjoyed the piano playing in the background, and I don't know. I genuinely forgot how I came across you guys.
Amazing.
That's great.
That's great, man. Do you follow Jesse or anybody else or Trevor, or just like all this is new?
It's just a YouTube channel. I see you guys live every once in a while, and I kind of lurk every once. I don't know, you guys always seem to talk about like meaningful things, you know. Like it's kind of difficult nowadays because it's a sea of information, so it's like
See, there it
there's
is.
so much crap out there that it's hard to find like distilled wisdom.
But see,
like, things that
life
are
is
actually worth,
life is
like,
empty
holding
and
on to.
meaningless, right? And so you find what we're saying meaningful, and that's why, you know, a lot of somebody we've called people calling haters and they say we're nuts, right? And so to them it's not meaningful, and so like it's interesting how people gravitate. It's like frequencies on radio, you know, like people are gonna listen to what they want to listen to and gravitate towards. And so that's why we're doing this, is because we want to find like-minded people that get it. And I think there's a lot more people out there than you think, you know. But I think the media and mainstream Hollywood and everything kind of paints this picture that life is moving this way and that this is the way people think and this is what you're supposed to think like. But we want to find those people that get it, man.
Yeah, just have these conversations. Like the way, I don't know if do you live in California or are you out of state?
Yeah, I'm stuck in California.
Okay, so like
California?
we go to the same church. That's where I met Trevor at, and one thing we liked about it is like how it's just you're at ease there, and you know everyone's at slightly different levels, but overall everyone accepts everyone for whatever they think and whatever they feel, and it's a crazy trippy place to be because I've never been in a room like that where they may raise their eyebrows, but no one's ever lost their mind or got angry for having a completely different view on something, even taboo subjects like World War II or whatever it might be. And that's what we wanted this. Without expecting it, we just wanted to have these conversations continue. And it's been amazing seeing all you guys kind of find your way here and hang out and just know that no matter what you think, we don't have to agree. We love you. It doesn't make a difference. We're all here to just be good to each other.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy to realize that you love somebody by default when you don't hate them. You know, like when people say stuff nowadays where they disagree and then they feel agitated and they feel some kind of way towards them. But it's like, it's all good.
Exactly.
Disagree is fine, but I don't feel anything about it. And I think that's what makes a man. You know, like, 'cause it's a woman's nature to be more emotional and be that way. You know, like any woman I've ever dated, like they can't help but judge you, which is why I realized I'm not going to share my weaknesses and my issues with my girl. I'm going to help her overcome hers. Otherwise, she's just going to judge me.
Have you ever had that happen to you, David? Or if you shared something like a weakness or a problem in your life with a woman, that she ended up throwing it back in your face later on?
Oh yeah, like information is a weapon. It's not a weapon. Information is a tool, and so it all depends on who's utilizing that tool. But then how it's going is it depends on the person utilizing that tool whether or not it's being used positively or negatively. Just like a gun. A gun is a tool for hunting, but like in the wrong hands, it's a weapon. And so it's a matter of like, what are you using the truth for? Like, are you just trying to win, or are you just trying to figure out what's going on? And
if
so
you ain't first, you're
most
last.
people are just trying to win.
Exactly.
Well, like I noticed, like with women, like any girlfriend I've ever had, it's like they'll kind of say, you know, they frame it in the way that like, you know, I want you to open up to me. I want to get to know you. Like they feel like you don't love them or don't trust them if you don't share your weaknesses and your problems and stuff like that. But in my experience, I've realized that anytime I have, it would come back to bite me somehow. It'll be used against me, or they're going to somehow judge me for it. You know, they're going to try to come up with solutions to help me, because like, you know, they're going to, it's like, you know, you can't have two presidents. You got to have a president, you got to have a vice president, you got to have one CEO. So I realized that order is so key, and if you're going to have that order, then the key is that you don't share. Like I'll talk, that's why we go to these men's meetings, hang out with my homies, and when I'm around a woman, all is well all the time, you know, but I do notice that like when you don't, they're going to start to get in their head and think, well, why aren't you sharing with me? Why aren't you telling me your problems and stuff like that? Until they just understand that that's just not what you do. You know?
Yeah, that's one thing I learned too, is you have to be careful who you share good news with, and you have to be careful who you share bad news with.
True.
Because like certain people, if you share good news, like they're going to use that to exploit you. Like, oh, you win the lottery? Oh, hey, you're my best friend.
Right.
Or like if something bad goes wrong, like somebody will like, oh, like they'll laugh at you about it. So it's like you have to be very discriminatory. That's turned into a bad word over the years, discriminatory.
No, it's good though.
We discriminate all the time. Do you want Coke or Pepsi? Do you want like steak or chicken? And so it's like we need to fight unfair discrimination. Unfair discrimination is a problem.
And discrimination
we discriminate all the time, so we need to calibrate.
I love discrimination.
Exactly, and discrimination doesn't mean that it's a negative or positive. It just means that you choose this. It's a preference.
It's a tool.
Yeah.
It's a tool. Just
because I want chocolate ice cream doesn't mean that I hate vanilla. I just don't want a vanilla.
Yeah, like here's Silver Josh in the chat said it in terms of women and men and sharing your problems with them. That there's only one of two ways it's gonna wash out. Either the woman is subject to the man and he leads, or he's subject to her and they're gonna both have hell. And I'm sure you've seen it where you see those weak couples where the guy's very passive. He may look like he's in charge, but you can tell that she wears the pants.
Like I have an ex-girl, right? And this was a recent thing I realized. that like she ended up cheating, right? Cheating on me, and so I ended it and everything like that. But you know, I used to have her at my parents' house and stuff, and we would joke around, and we've said joke like even with my black friends, I've said like back in the day, like 10 years ago, people would always want me to tell racist jokes because it was funny and we would laugh at stuff. But now it's like I found out on Facebook she was like going on telling people that I'd said all the racist things and stuff. So it's like those moments of trust where it's like, yeah, we're all laughing, and in that moment she's like laughing too, and it's all nobody's safe. You could say jokes about anybody, but then it's like once she decided that she hates me and I don't want to take her back, now she's going to use that against me and twist it into her position to turn all my friends against me or whatever. And it's like, it's just crazy.
Some people just feed off drama like that. Like,
yeah,
it's actually like I've been studying Big Five personality theory. Have you guys heard about that?
No, what's that about?
So most people know the Myers-Briggs, the INFP or ENJ or whatever.
Yep.
It's like the 4-letter acronym that describes your personality. But that test was made like 100 years ago by people who were interpreting Jung, who was a psychologist back then. And so, like, they came up with a theory and then created the test to try to prove the theory. But, like, it's not really applicable. It's not, like, a true personality test. But, like, now through statistical analysis, they've discovered what they call the Big Five. And so it's the ocean model: openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. And so, like, ever since I kind of learned about those kind of faculties, like they're sub-personalities essentially. You know, like when you're hungry, there's the Snickers commercial. You're not you when you're hungry.
Right.
And so, like, that sub-personality takes over, and then that personality dictates what you see in the world. You know, like, people can be blinded by love, blinded by rage, and so it's a matter of how are you looking at the world? What are you aiming at? And so, like, for me, I was always kind of looking for love, and I conflated that with sex.
Yeah.
And so I was always looking for love, but I would just go out and try to get laid because I assumed that every relationship has sex, but not every sex leads to a relationship. So it's like I got the cart before the horse. And so it's fundamentally, it's like, what are you aiming at? And so it's like, if you can learn your Big Five, like, you'll be able to determine what, like, frames you're analyzing the world in.
Yeah, man, it's so true because we're born, right? We have a soul first, and we come into, the world, and then the world is all physical, and the world imposes on us and influences us. And then our parents too. It's like when you're a baby, you see everyone else walking, and you emulate them, and then you start walking too. And so, like you said, the lens that we look through, everything that happens to us has a potential to shape who we are and how we think and all those kind of things. So like when trauma happens, like stuff that we would bury when we were younger, like my mom, she was a very strong-willed, and she imposed, like she would come up with decisions for me before I could even have time to think for myself. So it like trained me to depend on that kind of person, to where I would seek, I would ask somebody else what they think I should do. And I never really developed being able to think for myself and what I should do for a long time. And it wasn't until I realized that's where I got it from, like, I'm not just me on accident. I got everything from something, just like music. I play piano, and I've gotten influenced by things that I like to hear. And so it's just crazy, man. Like, we have such an identity issue in the world these days with people, and it's because of those things. Everyone's seeking to get this identity, and they're getting it outward. They're not getting it from within themselves, which is like really from God, within ourselves. Before we were ever brought into this world, we had an identity. I feel like it's like one big identity, which is God, and we're all teared pieces off of it, trying to, like, Luciferian, do our own and become our own thing. When we're really all supposed to be one identity of whatever, if that makes sense.
I don't know where I ended up with this.
I thought I said I quit smoking weed.
So now that you have seen that about yourself, David, with which is what every guy does in that fallen state, which is you look for love, but you look for sex, thinking that's love because that's what the trauma taught you. Girls do the same thing. That's why they go from guy to guy and guys go from woman to woman. How has it been for you now, understanding that about yourself growing up? Have you seen a difference in how you deal with relationships and women?
Yeah, like, I used to just, well, I was sexually abused when I was a kid, and so, like, sex was, like, kind of, like, commonplace in my, like, adolescence. I actually lost my virginity at 13 to a 21-year-old woman. I was 6'4", and I convinced her I was 18.
Crazy.
But,
so it started early with you.
Yeah,
so you were a big guy.
Yeah, it started early, and it affected how I looked at the world, and so it was like that was what I was aiming at. Even though I wanted love, but I was aiming at sex, and it was like.
And the crazy thing
I didn't
is,
realize I was miscalibrated until like later on.
I'm sure too that there was something else that drove you to, at 14, be interested in lying to a 21-year-old and getting sex. Something influenced you to want it first, you know.
Well, she was actually pretty predatorial. Like, we were like playing billiards, and she was like smacking my ass while I was like getting ready to take a shot.
13 years old, playing pool with a 21-year-old girl,
That's
smacking
crazy.
her booty, and then banging.
Well, I mean, she probably wanted, you know, control and to feel like a superior authority.
Did you grow up with both your parents in the house?
Yeah, both my parents were in the house, but they were always working all the time. They were both engineers, so they had heavy workloads. But,
so you're kind of were you a latchkey kid?
Yeah, they're very negligent, like, is the best terminology. So they weren't, like, malicious or anything, but they just didn't pay attention.
Gotcha.
Or they weren't, my parents were too old, because, like, my mom had me when she was, like, 43, so, like, when she immigrated here, she immigrated before, like, the whole 60s drug culture. So she was, like, a straight edge at Stanford. So, like, she never had that, like, kind of culture of, like, youthful hedonism.
Anchor baby?
Anchor baby. I mean,
yeah,
were you, are you an 80s kid? Were you born in the 80s?
Yeah, I was 89, so I was, like, on the cusp, so...
Perfect, that makes sense. I was 82, so... Yeah, so our parents, they went through all that Woodstock era and things, and everything was way too lax, and I didn't...
Well, my parents were before that time, so they were, like, super straight edge. So that's why, I was rebelling against them by kind of getting into, like, drugs and alcohol at a young age.
Would you say that they were, for being straight edge, that they went about it with an imposing manner, and it kind of made you resent them? Like, did it come off like... something about it obviously made you upset and bothered you, so they must have been, you know, maybe a little too, I don't know, imposing, I guess, for lack of a better word, with their values on you.
Yeah, they were very authoritarian, which was kind of why I grew up more, like, libertarian. Like, I want, like, autonomy and, like, individual freedom as opposed to, like, top-down governance.
Amazing. It's crazy how that happens, man. What happens in childhood will set the stage for you as an adult.
And even, like, you know, my parents, I see the generation in my family, like, breaking things, like my parents, right? My mom's parents, they didn't live right, and they didn't talk right or teach right, right? So my mom's generation was that she didn't live right, but she spoke, you know, the truth. So I saw the hypocrite of you know, like, wait a second, like, you say this, but do this. So now it's like, I want to hopefully be the generation that can be right and, you know, not have to, if I have kids, tell them anything, because I'll just be the example that they're influenced by, and they'll see the example. It won't be me trying to convince them and tell them what's right, you know?
Not as I do.
Exactly.
I think I suffer from that too. Parents would tell you all day what the right way to be is, but they weren't living.
And then you intellectualize it, and you know it's right, but you don't know how to be right.
Yeah, and you can only despise someone and resent them when they tell you how to live right, but they just don't do it themselves.
And then you end up doing the same thing, where now you want to be the preacher, telling everybody what they should do, when you're not even, you know, living right yourself.
Do you have kids, David?
Yeah, so what happened was, after college, I was just kind of sleeping around a lot because I was kind of miserable and looking for, like, meaning. And I was trying to get over a high school sweetheart. And so I had unrequited love. So I had excessive love, and I ended up sleeping with a woman who looked similar and had a similar name. was very synchronous, which is kind of weird. But she ended up lying about birth control, and I had a daughter. But it was actually good because it was interesting. What we were talking about earlier about is like the universe is infinite. Like, be careful what you wish for, kind of thing. It's like, so I was asking the universe, like, I have unrequited love. I have this excess. What do I do with it? And the universe gave me a daughter, so now I have an outlet of unconditional love.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of just like a calibration of my perceptions. Like, all right, I was aiming at the wrong thing, obviously, and I didn't love myself enough, but I at least loved her enough to start taking care of myself. And so it's kind of like, it's coming back to like just a calibration of perception. Like, so many people are just blind by rage, blind by anger, blind by like greed. And it's like, ask yourself, how am I being blind? It's like, it's a painful question.
Are you married to your daughter's mother, or are you guys separated?
No, we were never actually together. We were only together for like 2 weeks, and she lied about birth control, and so it was kind of against my will, but it's probably for the better, because like my daughter probably saved my life. Like, and I was going down a bad path, but I don't know. There's I mentioned earlier Meaning Wave. There's this DJ from LA called Akira the Dog. Oh no, he moved to Texas, but he kind of distills podcasts and then puts it over like music. And one of the people that he's taken is Jocko Willink. Have you guys heard of him?
Yeah, the Navy SEAL, ex-Navy SEAL.
Yeah, so Jocko Willink, the Navy SEAL, like, and so one of his songs that kind of got made is called Good. And so it's like, anytime something bad happens, ask yourself. And so again, it's calibration. It's like, how is this good? It's like, oh, I had a daughter out of wedlock. I can easily complain. Oh, now I have to pay all this money, and now I have to like. But no, it's like, that's good, because I probably would have killed myself if I didn't have something else to love. And so it's like, there's always some good. It's like that silver lining behind the clouds kind of thing.
I agree. It is similar to the idea of doubting your thoughts. Like, you're not falling for the initial thought trying to tell you that this is a negative.
It's just like, it makes me think of music, man. Like a lot of musicians and stuff, right? If you're doing a gig and you play the wrong chord, it's not that wrong chord that's wrong. It's how you recover from it. Because you could turn something that would be wrong into something amazing by how you recover. And it's kind of the same thing, you know, like, it's your idea of it being negative.
Oh, yeah.
You could flip it and make it magic.
David Goggins is another one. He says it just makes for a more interesting story. It's like, dude, David Goggins was like 300 pounds and was like spraying for cockroaches, but he became like one of the most renowned Navy SEALs like in the world, in history, you know. So it's just a matter of like, this is just your current page of the story. The story isn't finished.
Right. That's why it's so important to have that clear vision, and you don't get in your head. I mean, it doesn't, especially with men. That's why this world fell apart. It all goes back to the guys, you know. Like, I don't know if you're a Christian or not, or if you believe in it, but like the whole Adam and Eve story is very relevant, because yeah, you could say, you know, Eve is wrong for taking the knowledge and seducing Adam, but in the end, he was charged with taking care of her. He was supposed to lead her. He should have seen that spirit coming. He should have helped her out of hell. What did he do? He fell for it.
He made her his God, where he was weak to her and followed her. And then now it's like...
Now we live with the consequence. But now that's why Jesus came back, and he said, this is how you do it, and this is how you fix it.
Yeah, he restored it as being the example of perfection in the flesh, so that we can see an influence and be like, whoa, yeah, it is possible to do that.
Yeah, this is how you would deal with these problems. He gave advice. It was just, he led by example. He's like, look, you guys are all living wrong. You made the woman your God. Your world is falling apart. I'm going to show you how to do it. And he did it by example, and that's how we're supposed to do it. He's the bridge back.
Yeah, there's that, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. But also it comes back to a line from Jesus, is like, you give a man a fish, he eats for a day, but you teach a man to fish, he'll never go hungry.
You could lead a drunk to Jameson, and you don't have to force him to drink.
Like, calibrate their minds, how to like aim at the right things, how to get into the right habits. It's like, those are things that are not discussed in our culture, which is very depressing.
Yeah, I mean, That's why another one, don't get caught up in the world. We can't, you can't just go wake everybody up, but what you want is just to have that vision, and then, he'll lead you to where you need to be. Like he gave you a daughter. You have your job now is to protect her soul and get her to adulthood in one piece, and to stand between the world and her. That's what your job is now. And it's one of the biggest honors a man could have, is to have a family. Even though you're not with the mother, but still you have her, and she's your world, and that's the way guys should be looking at everything.
Yeah, exactly. It's all a matter of like how you look at life, and it's like look for the good. And it's like, because like there's people are always like, oh man, how could this day get any worse? And then the universe gives you an answer. But like if you ask the same question of, oh, how could this day get any better? The universe will give you an answer. And so it's be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, we all reap what we sow. So live right, be right.
We all reap what we sow. So
we want to. That's how we all get what we deserve in the end. If you're doing it wrong, it's no surprise it's going to come out.
Yeah, it's like a math problem. 2 + 2 deserves 4.
Right.
And if you're unaware and ignorant to seeing how you got where you were, that's your problem to figure it out. You still got what you deserve because that's what you got.
It's right. Do the math.
And it's funny how like religion and science is like they think that they're on opposite spectrums, and the scientists don't like religion and religions hate science, but they're connected. Like there is science in it all.
Yeah, well, it's just observation. Scientific method is based on observation.
Right.
Do you have any other questions for us tonight, my friend?
You can't, no, that's it. I just wanted to give you guys a call, and I really enjoyed chatting with you guys.
Yeah, before you go, hit that bell. Sometimes a lot of times we get kicked off of YouTube in midstream, but we've taken a short hiatus. This is our first stream in a good little while, so God willing, we'll keep it up, and just stay in touch. Some people say that they don't get the notifications, but go ahead and hit the bell and keep calling in. We'd love to have you, man. It's good that you joined.
Hell yes.
Yeah, definitely. Check out that meaning wave. There's a lot of interesting people to listen from. There's like Jocko Willink, David Goggins,
Okay.
Alan Watts.
I'm gonna bring it up right. Alan Watts. I should listen to that guy.
Things.
I'm checking the headphones.
Yeah, Alan Watts is really awesome.
Yeah, he was one of the guys who pointed me back like years ago. Like it was a start. It was people like that who just spoke truth, and it kind of resonated. Amazing.
Well, thanks for taking my call, guys.
Thanks, David. God bless, man. Be well.
All right, take care, bro. Damn, the quality's pretty good. I can hear it.
You're testing it out.
The keys seem pretty loud though.
So far, everyone likes it. They're saying sounds good. Oh yeah, T Warrior wants you to tell the chat a black joke.
I don't know, man. You guys might use it against me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my microphone doesn't seem very loud, huh?
Oh, T Warrior's got to go. Good night, T.
I don't want to leave, but I gotta go right now.
We got another one. This got to be Kevin from Chicago.
I got a Mexican joke. What do you call a Mexican with a rubber toe? Roberto.
Is this Kevin from Chicago?
How y'all boys doing?
Good. How you doing?
Pretty good. I just want to get one thing off my chest.
What's going
Something
on?
you guys told to talk about it. They got to run here. Nick Cannon, the Nick Cannon situation.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty much what I've been harping at in a nutshell for the past 2 years. The past 3, 4 years, actually. The Nick Cannon situation. It just breaks it down to a T. Everything I've been talking about in a nutshell, where the way he was bashing white people, he talks about Jewish people, then he does the apology tour, brings on a rabbi and starts groveling to some rabbi on his podcast while complaining about white supremacy. Everything I've been complaining about, I've been talking about. The entire situation sums it up perfectly. But I'll leave you guys to it. Thanks for taking my call.
Hey, thanks, Kevin. Be well, bro. Yeah, speaking of Nick Cannon, I just saw, we all know the story. If you don't know, he basically trash talked all white people, called white people subhuman, and all kinds of things. And then he tried to, do the same thing when talking about Jewish people, and he got the hammer dropped on him So he's only apologized to them. He's never even mentioned.
But
once.
he also only got slack because it was anti-Semitic. He didn't get any slack. Had he just kept it at white people, it would have been all
exactly.
good.
He's doing book reports now to apologize to the Jewish community, but he has not said one word about the white people. But I mean, that's par for the course.
But I mean, it's all a free-for-all. Everyone in the whole world mostly
Yeah, the
is
most
talking
hated-
against. Even white people are being like, "I'm so sorry that I'm white."
I know, it's pathetic.
It's like insane.
Yeah, don't be friends with people who hate them. They hate their own skin color, especially if they're white. That's just weakness. They'll just drag you down. The Grabblers, that's right, Manny. Small hats. Yeah, he's doing a book report on the Jews. Good Lord.
I'm living my best life.
So, what else was I thinking about? Oh, here we go. What made it anti-Semitism was the name Rothschilds. Yeah, speaking of Rothschilds, I was telling Trevor about this. My favorite actor in Hollywood, Mel Gibson, is making a film based on a wealthy banking family called Rothschild. And obviously, you know, no surprise there. It's about the Rothschild family. Yeah, and it translates to Red Shield. The Rothschilds also were related to Karl Marx by way of marriage. They financed his communist propaganda and his work. They go back centuries, maybe even maybe. Yeah, it's buffering. All right, there it goes. It's back. So yeah, Mel Gibson is pretty based. I mean, he's had some. A friend of mine, she told me about some crazy calls he had made and left some interesting voicemails on his ex-girlfriend or ex-wife's phone, talking all kinds of nonsense. But again, overall, he's been the only guy to go hard on Hollywood and the people who run it. So yeah, I'm Team Mel for sure. Yeah, refresh it if it's buffing.
I always thought,
Buffering.
what's his name? Remember movie Grandma's Boy? I always thought the Grandma's Boy guy looked like, I call him Mel Gibson, because he's a gypped version of Mel Gibson.
He does look like a.
Doesn't he
gypped
look like him?
version. He played the homeless caddy in the.
He's in a bunch of Adam Sandler movies.
Yeah, he's like his best bud. If you haven't seen Grandma's Boy,
That's funny.
I don't smoke weed anymore, but that is still a funny movie.
Dude, I actually watched it. I used to think it was so funny, but then I watched it and I was like, this is so dumb. So dumb.
Well, when you're high, things
It's
are
not.
different.
It's not Step Brothers. Step Brothers is classic.
Step Brothers is comedy gold.
Classic.
Yeah. Prestige worldwide. Wide.
Dude, I think I can actually give you effect on your voice, bro.
What time is it? It is it's 10:23. Thank
it
you for
time to
asking,
go?
family. No, they were just asking us what time. I guess this family 53511 is not in California. Yeah, we're in LA. Land of the. What would you say LA is, Trevor? Land of the
It's California.
California. Yeah, people who hate their parents. It's pretty trippy out here, man. LA County is just nuts.
Let's see. Let's do a little test. Let's see if people can hear this effect. Go ahead and talk.
Hello. WNBC. What's the effect?
Reverb.
Reverb. So it echoes, right?
Yeah.
Echo.
See if they can hear it. They have to.
Streaking. We're going streaking at the quad. Oh, there. I can hear it.
Let me try a different
Yeah.
one.
Old school is a great one. Even though you scumbags switch your time part of the year. I can't. Yeah. What's up? Well, I get the daylight savings was for maximizing daylight when we had to do all that farming. Yeah. Don't be swatting us over here either. FBI raid. Speaking of FBI raids, a friend of mine told me that, or clued me into, what's his face? Jake Paul, that YouTube twat. He got raided by the FBI.
Another plant.
On the face of it, it's for guns, but there's talk that it's tied to all this Epstein-Maxwell-ish kind of activity. That's right, Manny knows already.
We're ready. Here we go. Now we got a high voice. Forgive your mother.
So how
That
does
guy's
it
a fat
feel?
dude.
How does it
That's
feel
Jake
being
Paul.
a chipmunk living in a tree, sir?
It feels pretty cool up here. There's a lot of nuts in this tree that I've saved.
They could probably hear your regular voice through the other microphone.
Does it sound, how's it sound in the chat?
Does it sound insane?
We got King Tony Evers here in Wisconsin. I don't know who Tony is. They're doing helium. Oh, Matt can hear it. So if anyone else wants to call in, we will wrap it up shortly.
Do it.
But we're having fun right now, so
Always
the
wrap it
number
up.
is 818-308-5559. Yeah, who is that dude you mentioned? Tony Evers. Oh, the governor. Well, that would make sense. The governor of Wisconsin. Yeah, all these people are nuts, man. If you run for Congress, run for local office. If it's in you, don't do it. Don't force it. But we definitely need better people in office.
Yeah.
I think we need a third party in my position. We need a third position, if you know what I'm talking about. Those who
You know
know.
what I mean.
Yeah, Matt's not running for Congress. But Matt knows what I'm talking about.
Matt, actually the other day I ate your maple
Maple
syrup.
syrup.
I had pancakes and I poured it. I got the pancakes knowing I had that syrup, and that's why I got it.
You got to get your distribution game up, Matt. If you guys don't know, in the chat, that gentleman there with the handle Matt Living the Dream makes maple syrup off his own land. He grows gigantic cabbages and turns it into German fine quality sauerkraut. I mean, the guy's just amazing.
And he was right. He warned me. He's like, you're going to drink it. And I actually started drinking
You
it.
can drink his maple
I drank
syrup.
it.
It's ridiculous.
It's like moonshine.
Matt running for comptroller. Give him the money. So lucky to have that land. What what is it like? You got a couple acres, but he is living the dream. He's got a great wife. If you're in Indiana, you need photos. She's a hell of a photographer.
I'm one
And,
hell of American model citizen.
And then Matt, just figure out the distribution because your stuff is amazing. You just got to get it sent out. Yeah, Manny, buy some. His maple syrup is fire.
Come on down. Manny's
And I'm
maple syrup.
Waiting for my Kruger kraut to show up in the mail as soon as it's done fermenting. Yeah, he's from Indiana. Morels, mushrooms. They got those in Idaho. 818-308-5559. I wasn't even typing. 818-308-5559. There you go. Smitty could do PR. Then you get some labels. You can send us free product, and we'll stack it here in the middle. Show it off. Hoosier, eh? No Mask Matt is what I'm called around these parts here. Nice. David Allen's farming too. Good. Grow some food. I've got to learn how to grow celery. If you know, you know. But if you don't know, celery is super hydrating and gives you natural energy with celery juice. So you gotta juice, I think she said 2 bundles. Gives you about 32 ounces. Ideally, you're gonna do a cold press. And man, it is amazing. It really does give you energy. But when you're getting used to it, you better be near a restroom. Everyone should have maple syrup in the house. Yes, if you're a man, you'll have maple syrup. You can see them in the woods. Oh, Manny, I'm telling you, bro. If you're on this workout plan, you got to throw in the celery juice. You will thank me like I thanked her. It is the truth. There's nothing like it. It's weird. It really does wake you up. It's just really hydrated. It's got natural sodium, so like you just hold on to all the water, so just pissing it down the toilet. Matt says I got a straw filling machine. Oh, he's got those little maple syrup straws. So
Really?
having the snacks, you just
Like I was thinking of I don't know what I was thinking.
I have some fully inoculated grain spawn right now. White and beautiful. Well, if it's white, then you know it's beautiful. Schmitty can just see all that money. Yeah, he's supposed to send me a jar of the sauerkraut. Sauerkraut's very good for you. It's got natural
I don't like
antibiotics.
sauerkraut.
What? He doesn't have any German. If you have a German ancestry, you get it. Matt gets it.
I don't like fermented crap.
It's good for you.
You like kombucha too?
I love kombucha. I think it tastes great. I like vinegar, apple cider vinegar.
I like that.
It's the same thing.
Bull crap.
Bullcrap.
That's
What about
like
kimchi?
saying. That's like saying. Garbanzo beans and hummus are the same thing.
Oh yeah, not the same.
Nah, but it's the same.
What about kimchi?
It's like saying, oh, I like French fries, but I don't like baked potatoes. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's pretty close.
Potatoes au gratin. Yeah.
They look rotten.
Yeah, I don't like potatoes au gratin. I always hated
Sauerkraut is good
those.
on brats. Dude, sauerkraut is amazing. I usually have it with ideally, glass of raw milk, a fat steak, medium, rare, medium-ish, and then a little bit of raw cheese and a fat helping of sauerkraut.
All this fat stuff.
Dude, it gives you so much energy. Manny knows what's up. He's on the carnivore diet, so you basically intake good amount of protein. Make sure you get those good fats, and then some good carbs. Carbs are good.
I'm actually starving.
Yeah, I'm
I wanna
freaking
eat.
hungry. So we'll open it for one more caller before we wrap it up, and then we're gonna order some Postmates.
Damn, I'm wondering
Uh,
how, because this microphone sounds so much better when it's like this.
That's what they were saying. Maybe we get you a headset.
No way.
No?
Britney Spears?
Maybe like, thank you for calling Pros and Cons. May I take your order?
I mean, I can hook up another microphone like that. But I'm
Like
like,
this?
damn.
Sous vide. I have the sous vide. The hell's it called? But I got that machine. That's the folks that don't know how to cook steaks or meats. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna cook a steak in a sous vide.
Would you
But
do that?
What the hell was that?
Fireworks?
Interesting. With that and a torch, you can make incredible. Yeah, you could. I mean, the sous vide's pretty cool. It keeps all the juices in. You ever heard of sous vide cooking?
Sous vide?
Sous vide?
Sous vide or not
Sous
sous vide?
You put your food, the meats, in a
Sounds like
In a
Alex's
Ziploc
dad's
bag?
name.
yeah. You put it in a bag. You air seal it or vacuum it out. Try to not have air in there. Put your seasonings. You could throw a lemon wedge, just a little pinch of seasoning, and it cooks in that bag and just its own juices because it's in hot water. And this machine will keep it at a set temperature the whole time. So
Amazing.
it never goes up
I'm
or down.
starving, bro.
All right.
I'm starving.
I think we're gonna go ahead and call it because he's starving.
I wanna eat. And
Sylvia, Britney Spears. I don't know what that's about, but all right, guys. That was a pretty good first stream back. So we'll see if we're back on tomorrow. What, Saturday? Yeah, we'll try and shoot for tomorrow. We'll see what happens. God,
Yeah.
God makes plans, not us. But other than that, thank you for calling in. Any
At least we
final
got the
words?
audio working now.
Final words from Mr. Trevor Wesley for the chat.
I say thank you.
Thank you.
You don't
Acting
need
like
no
a-
final words from me.
Acting like a diva. Someone
No
needs to
way.
give this guy a Snickers.
Stop it over here.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. God bless.
My guys. Can I play it upside down?
How often do we host this chat? Family, we were going like 5 days a week before we took this big break. So we'll see. Just hit that bell, subscribe, like, comment, all the good things. Just support us if you can.
Pros and cons.
And then,
Pros and cons.
We might be back tomorrow.
Peace out, my fools.
Peace out, homies. Later, Pisces.